everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Final Down NFL podcast with me, Jim, Punk Raider, and Denver Dave. We're here to talk about the NFL, boys. How are we doing?
Not bad.
Well, that was a fun weekend, wasn't it?
It was a great weekend, yeah. It's time for us to look ahead, though, Punk. I know we've already reviewed the games for the divisional round. We're going to talk tonight about the championship games, the last four teams, the final four, and I personally think these are the best four teams. Unfortunately for me, one of them is the Bengals, but I do think these are the best four teams from this season. Just hold my hands up there. That's my opinion.
I don't think you can complain about the 4 teams. It's not like we've had one luck into the playoffs and then managed to fluke their way all the way up to the championship game. So when you've got the 1 and 3 seeds and the 1 and 2 seeds, then the cream has risen to the top of the pile. So yeah, should be good.
Yeah, I don't think you can complain. These are the best 2 teams in the AFC, best 2 teams in the NFC. We can be happy with that.
And they're about to duke it out. So let's go into the games then, boys. Let's start on Sunday evening. Yeah, it's 8 o'clock. And it is the San Francisco 49ers heading up to Philly and the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, the last time these two played each other was last season. Very similar squads. Jimmy G squeaked the win in Philadelphia 17-11. Since then, the Eagles have added A.J. Brown. The Niners have added Christian McCaffrey. And Jalen Hurts had the 35-6 touchdown to interception ratio season. He's another step up. The Eagles are currently 2.5-point favorites for this game. Clear skies, 37 degrees is the predicted temperature and condition. Let's get into it, boys. Who's winning this game and pourquoi?
I love the fact that you're now giving us the weather conditions as well.
Someone's
Where was that the rest of the season?
I forgot. I didn't mention the snow in Buffalo for the divisional game, but that wasn't my fault.
These 2 teams are stacked. This, for me, feels more like a defensive struggle rather than an offensive points fest. When you look at the 2 teams on paper, then just look at them over the last couple of weeks. The Eagles have eased past the Giants. 49ers, I wouldn't say struggled past the Cowboys, but definitely had a bit of a scare against the Cowboys.
No passing touchdowns.
Well, exactly, but equally, the defense and special teams stepped up, and they did enough. They did enough. 49ers probably have the more explosive playmakers on offense when you look at McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel and Kittle. But Jalen Hurts is a massive X factor. And if you don't take someone out of your defense to spy him and keep an eye on him, then he can ruin your day really, really quickly. I think personally the 49ers have had the best defense in football. And their ability against the run against the Cowboys was actually quite impressive. Now, I know Pollard got injured and so on and so forth, but they really kept them in check. So, yeah, I think the Eagles almost will have to win this through Hurts. Hurts is going to be the kind of central figure if the Eagles are going to win it. Eagles defensively, they have a massively strong pass rush with a lot of experience. So if the Cowboys were getting to Brock Purdy, then the Eagles will almost definitely get to Brock Purdy at some point. So it'll be interesting to see how he manages to deal with that. A lot of the Eagles' defensive backfield, so, Slay, Bradbury, Gardner Johnson, they're all ball hawks. They all like to go for an interception. So, I think it's set up for a really good game. I really do think these teams are almost mirror images of each other. And it will come down to probably turnovers or someone making a mistake. Obviously, you'd like to hope that it comes down to someone making a great play rather than it being a case of someone making a huge mistake. But this is the way the NFL is. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one.
I think it's a good job that the NFL has a bye week between the championship games and the Super Bowl because these 2 teams both play hard and they're going to need a week off because both teams are really tough tackling. And if you look at offense and you play top trumps, I think on quarterback, you're looking at the Eagles. goes without saying.
Yeah.
And I think wide receivers, you probably look at San Francisco. Tight end, you look at San Francisco. And running game, you look at San Francisco. Now, a lot of that's debatable and based on opinion, but the X factor really is Jalen Hurts. And I think that is how the Eagles win it on offense. On defense, it's situational. It's big plays. It's, however they react in individual circumstances. But I think it's anyone to try and say that they know what's going to happen. They don't, because this is the closest of close games. It's whoever's going to win at any situational moment, and it's going to be an absolute barnstormer. So yeah, can't wait.
There are Pro Bowls everywhere on these two squads.
Absolutely.
I think that the Eagles probably have the better secondary for defense. What are some stats actually between the two teams? I was actually quite surprised about this on mostly on the defensive points. So points per game, Eagles have that over the 49ers. Points allowed per game, San Francisco give up on average 17.5 points a game. The Eagles this season have given up 7.
Yeah,
just 7 points a game.
And that's including the thing to remember with that as well is that the Eagles went those last 3 or 4 games of the season giving up points.
Yeah.
So, if they'd been as stingy as they'd been the rest of the season, what would that number have been? Their defense is ridiculous. It really is.
Pass yards allowed. The San Francisco 49ers give up, on average, 229.5 yards a game. The Eagles, 135. It's almost 100 yards less in the air. You don't throw on them. Rushing yards allowed. I mean, San Francisco, that's the one stat they get the Eagles on. They only allowed 90 rushing yards a game. The Eagles allow 118, which is still very, very small numbers we're talking about here. And in offensive yards passing and yards rushing, the Eagles have the edge on them in there. So purely from a points point of view, the Eagles do have the edge on those categories. You're right, Dave, that you could probably go through the list of the offensive players for the Eagles and the 49ers and go, 49ers just about edge it. Wide receiver, I think it's probably a dead heat, to be honest. I would want.
I'd personally side with 49ers, but I'm not going to argue too hard with someone who favours the Eagles. I mean, it's, as you say, there's not an enormous amount in it. I want to go back to that stat you said about they what was it, 7 points a game they concede?
Yeah.
What was that stat again?
The Eagles allow on average 7 points a game, and the 49ers allow 17.5 points a game.
The Eagles conceded more points this season than Dallas. So I'm not sure.
Dallas had the number 1 defense.
Well, no, 344 points were allowed this season in the 17 games that they played. I'm not sure that's 7 points a game.
Well, that's the stat I'm looking at here.
Okay. I mean, interesting. They conceded a lot more points than the 49ers, for example. The 49ers conceded 277 over the course of the season.
Well, you're right. I mean, those numbers don't sound right. I'm getting my stats from ESPN.com, looking at head-to-head. So maybe they're wrong, maybe they're right, maybe they're taking into consideration something else that we don't know. But those are the stats I was looking at. So I can only apologize, but that was the number I just pulled out. That's ESPN misguiding me potentially.
I mean, the Eagles are phenomenal on defense, and their average, I think they're number 1 in pass rush. And the team, they're number 1 in sacks, and the team that's behind them is 15 sacks behind. It's absolutely ridiculous. But it's when they won the Super Bowl previously, they almost had interchangeable defensive lines. They'd have a whole new defensive line come in every other play, and teams just couldn't deal with it. And we've seen, they brought in experienced players like Slay, for example, who came across from the Lions. Bradbury, who everyone thought was done, came across from the Giants. I think they've built their team through not only through drafting well, but also through picking up free agents who have experience to sort of gel those newer players in.
I mean, how they got Gardner Johnson as well.
Yeah.
They have fleeced a lot. And James Bradbury, I think he was done. I think the Giants just couldn't afford him. The Giants had to sell a lot of players in the last season, which is even more surprising how they did so well this year.
They're going to have to do even more this time next season, right? Because
we are not about the Giants.
No, I feel a franchise tag coming on.
Yeah. In
Yeah,
injury news, Christian McCaffrey, Charles Omenihu, and Elijah Mitchell are all questionable, though Charles Omenahu's got other problems at the moment. Jimmy Garoppolo is officially out for the game. That's for the 49ers. For the Eagles, just Avonte Maddox, cornerback, is out, but we've already mentioned 3 other cornerbacks that are all extremely decent. So I still want to know who you think's going to win the game, though.
49ers.
Unk.
Only reason being is the run game. If it's not working in the air, I have more confidence of the 49ers being able to turn to Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel as an option than I do the Eagles being able to turn to Miles Sanders.
And Kenneth Gainwell and Boston Scott.
Exactly.
I have one thing to counter your running back theory. I've got a couple of names to reel off. Fletcher Cox, Linval Joseph, Javon Hargrave, Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, and Ndamukong Suh and Robert Quinn.
Yep.
All
of which...
That's not just high quality, that's experience as well.
Absolutely.
So it's not just a whole bunch of young guys. They are going to know exactly how to play in any given situation. And
but
I don't see that 49ers run game being able to get enough yards on a consistent basis to be able to propel them down the field. Because what are you going to do if you're the Eagles? You immediately walk in and say, no running game, you make Brock Purdy beat you. That's the game plan in a nutshell, is make Brock Purdy beat you. And can Brock Purdy beat you? I don't know. No. I don't think we've seen a game where he's had to beat somebody as yet. So
I mean, we have, but it's been against poor teams. I think the thing is, I mean, what they can do is they can bring in 22-man formation, stick in 2 running backs, have Deebo Samuel one side, and just massive swing routes and pitch passes when it comes to the run game. And as good as players like Fletcher Cox and Ndamukong Suh are, if the ball's on the outside in hands, I'm fancying Christian McCaffrey in the run game. That's how they do it. And which NFL team are best at designing run plays? 49ers have been for a long time. If it comes down to a run game where it's not happening in the air for whatever reason, the Eagles are elite because they have Jalen Hurts, and he's phenomenal in the air, on the ground when it's not working for him in the air. The 49ers have that option as well. So that's what makes it interesting. I'm just slightly a bit more enamored with the 49ers run game than anything else. But this is width of a fag paper. I'm picking the 49ers. If the 49ers get blown out, I'm not surprised as well.
This really is pick your poison, this game.
Yeah.
I mean, it literally is, what do you think is going to win out? Do you think a certain area is going to win out? Or, I mean, they really are mirror images of each other. AJ Brown and Devontae Smith versus Deebo Samuel and Brendan Ayuk with George Kittle thrown in. Dallas Goedert as well, who played really well this weekend. So, I don't know, man. Come back to me. I'm still undecided.
You know what? That's the answer. That's the answer. It is so difficult to decide. So anyone you pick is a bit of a punt. So all you've got to do is just either flip a coin or just go with immediately what's your first instance. You know, the thing that psychologists do where they mention a word and you give a word back. That's what it is. It's just first word that comes to your head.
You know the one thing we haven't mentioned that we normally mention in this situation?
Punters?
And it's probably what's going to sway me, to be honest. It's West Coast team traveling east.
Home field advantage.
Home field advantage and all those kind of off the field type things. So I preach. I ought to listen to myself, and I always preach that I don't like West Coast teams going east. Especially now, I would say especially in an early window, but this isn't an early window game as such. It's one of those kind of midway games. Plus, I expect the 49ers to be out there a day earlier than they would normally for a game. But I think I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going Eagles. Eagles. I think Jalen Hurts. I think that defensive line just gets it done. I think the defensive line and that secondary, Brock's going to really struggle to hit his receivers. I'm going for the Eagles in a massive defensive struggle. I would say 15-12, 17-13, something like that.
I reckon
There will be a lot of kicking.
I think there will be over 50 points in this game.
Ooh, Dave.
Yeah. I'm going
Now,
over
if
50
it turns
points.
into a game, if it turns into a game like that, then I can definitely see why you'd back the 49ers. But I don't think the Eagles will let that happen.
They won't.
I think the Eagles will want a tight game.
I know this is the easiest maths in the world, but all we're talking is, 26-25. So we're not talking a real high scoring game. We're not talking the Lions season.
Yeah, but they weren't close.
Yeah, but you're still looking at 3 or 4 touchdowns each. So.
Yeah. But I think one of the reasons for this, one of the reasons I'm saying is because when there's going to be such a if we look at the Eagles, for example, if Jalen Hurts gets free, he could possibly have, with the speed they've got on the outside, he could have 30 yards to run into on certain occasions, and it will be easy for him to do that. And again, if Christian McCaffrey runs free, there could be 30 or 40 yards. There's going to be decent opportunities for there to be chunk plays, and I think both teams are so good. And as you say, the Eagles have got ball hawks in the back. One of those players comes and misses a pass. You're not stopping Brandon Ayuk. You're not stopping Deebo Samuel.
But so I think Trayvon Diggs, though, they're more measured than that.
No, I agree. But Trayvon Diggs is like the ultimate. That's like saying some dude who killed his wife's not Ted Bundy. But even there's levels,
Oh, right, yeah, okay. But,
yeah,
Marcus Peters, again, another ball hawk, but he'll either win or he'll lose.
Yeah,
so he'll lose big. But I don't see that from the Eagles' defense. I just think they are so stacked. They're so underrated as well that you think that they can give up 30 odd points to the 49ers and Brock Purdy.
Well, I've just done some maths on
I just feel like this is the Eagles' turn. I think that the 49ers can leave this season going, well, we went down to our third string quarterback, last guy in the draft. We've got the players. We can still go again next year because they can still go again next year. They've got Trey Lance to come back. They've got to make a decision there. I think they've already made it. But I think they won't be. I know they'll be annoyed, obviously, but I think that going away. I think it's
I'll level up a little bit. Right? Imagine there's a Hollywood film, and the film stars a young actor who no one's ever heard of, and he plays a quarterback who gets drafted last in the NFL draft, and he goes in, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, and I've seen this story before, though.
Yeah, exactly. Gets his opportunity. That is exactly what's happened with this, and that's one. No, but being Mr. Irrelevant and getting your opportunity in the championship game. That's part of the reason I'm like, I want the Lions to go. And that's probably influencing me 5 or 10% because I want to see that movie. We're seeing that movie right now.
Just rewatch the Kurt Warner documentary.
Fantastic. We're watching this movie right now.
You are not watching it.
We are. We absolutely are. That is what is happening because this is almost unprecedented that Mr. Irrelevant comes in and does what he's doing.
Yeah, but don't forget, sometimes these movies don't have happy endings.
Exactly.
Mr. Irrelevant gets them right to the line and then fails the final hurdle. So,
amen. Even Rocky Balboa lost,
Exactly.
No, he didn't.
Sometimes it doesn't. Yes, he did. Of course he did. He lost about 3 times. Doesn't matter.
Don't say that, Dave. Don't tell me
the fact is, spoilers.
The
fact is, these two teams are as good as each other.
I
like the romance of the 49ers season, and you've got what happened in previous Super Bowls, what happened with Shanahan in the Atlanta Super Bowl, and you've also got last year. Let's not forget, a lot of these 49ers players on defense have lost like multiple years of their career because they've been injured. I mean, Nick Bosa's lost literally years of his career because he spent it on IR, and this entire unit. I mean, Jim, you said some stat last year where there was like 37 players on IR or something for the 49ers.
They were banged up.
It's absolutely ridiculous. And it's almost the first time we've seen this unit together. So part of it just makes me want to go, all right, come on, you've got past the old enemy in the Cowboys now. And if the Eagles win, I don't mind. That's fine as well. I want an NFC team to win it this year, ideally. So... it's the romance of the 49ers as much as anything.
All right, we're going to move on. Because I don't think we're going to be able to decide this anyway. It's going to be a great game to watch, hopefully. Let's go on to the second game. Oh yeah, it should be. The second game then at 11:30 at night for us in the UK is the Cincinnati Bengals at the Kansas City Chiefs, the Arrowhead Invitational. The Bengals under Joe Burrow are undefeated against Kansas City. They beat them twice last season, once in Week 17 and again in the championship game. This year they won in Cincinnati in Week 13, and all of those games were won by just 3 points. So,
I have a question. Before we get into
take your bias out of it.
I have a question.
Sure.
Have we underestimated the Bengals this season?
No.
It started off bad.
It kind of feels like they've snuck up on us again. I know they played out their skins in Buffalo, and they've had the bulletin board stuff and all the rest of it about the neutral AFC game, and this, that, and the other. But did we underestimate them throughout the season?
No, I think at certain points this season they've not been playing very well.
At one point they were 4-4.
Yeah, I mean they were not a good team, but they've got one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and that always gives you the opportunity. He's definitely better than Trevor Lawrence. Just saying. See last week's episode.
I never argued that.
I never said you did. I just said. I think.
Let's get off Trevor Lawrence, please.
No. How fit is Patrick Mahomes going to be?
That's the big one, isn't it?
That's the key indicator for me.
He's playing. He's playing.
Of course he's playing.
He's playing if he's in a wheelchair. Let's be honest.
Of course he's playing. Extending the play is a big thing for the Chiefs. That is
That's
big
magic happens.
Exactly. And when you get a quarterback who can't extend the play anymore, see Denver, magical things do not happen. And the
Hilarious things happen.
Bengals have got the experience of last year to draw on, and I'm finally happy that someone's smashing this Super Bowl losers curse that we've seen year on year on year, and it is smashed. It's done. We see it so often where teams lose a Super Bowl, a la Atlanta, and just fade away for decades, and they've come straight back. The fact is, Joe Burrow, when times are hard and it's difficult football, he rises to the occasion every single time. And he's set a precedent by beating the Chiefs consistently. So I back him to do it again. I don't care where it is. The Bengals win this one. I think they win it fairly comfortably.
My concern with this game, there's a couple of concerns with this game. Number one, I can see this being a blowout for the Bengals if Mahomes is not fit. Or if Mahomes goes down early in the first quarter and they've got to play Chad Henne for the majority of the game, then I think that may take away some of the competitiveness of this game.
On that point, really quickly though, this week Chad Henne will have taken all of the snaps. Mahomes would have not lifted a finger all week, so they're much more prepared for that to happen than it was last week.
Mahomes this week is sleeping in hyperbaric chambers with his leg at 45 degrees and not coming out except for
47.2 degrees, I think you'll find.
Yeah, exactly. He's doing absolutely nothing on a football field. There will be no reporters anywhere near him.
He's going to have so much juice pumped into that ankle, and it's going to be strapped so heavily.
He'll be fine.
Maybe
it might be,
but he's not.
But
Mahomes.
what happens if big old Mr. Harris comes and falls on it?
Yeah.
Well, they've got people like Trey Hendrickson. They're going to be licking their lips to try and bring him down.
Breaking news!
That's
the Bengals have just re-signed Vontaze Burfict for one game.
One game only.
I wouldn't put it past that franchise.
Hey, they're a classy organisation, mate. What are you talking about?
Very classy. Apparently, the Chiefs are 1.5 point favourites. It's
meaningless. Doesn't mean anything.
In this game, that means absolutely nothing because at this moment as well, until you're actually on the field watching him warm up, you honestly don't know how Mahomes' leg is. It really is a case of once he's doing his warm up in the stadium on the day, you'll get an idea.
I don't think so.
About it.
I don't think so. Do you know? I'll give you my 2 pennies worth for what it's worth. I think the first series will be designed by Andy Reid, and it'll give there'll be 2 reads which are going to be almost next to each other. So Mahomes can come off script if he needs to, but his 2 reads are both angled left and inside left, so to speak.
Yeah, so to take the weight off the
exactly. So the first series, maybe the first 2, maybe even the first 3 series are not going to tell us anything. What's going to tell us something is when Mahomes gets hit and he will get hit in this game. And when it hurts, or when he rolls it, or when he goes down and he has to sneak, if he has to sneak through, because one of the things he's great at is running 4 or 5 yards to get a first down. When he has to do that, when it comes to the key moment when he has to rely on his ankle, can he? Because Andy Reid is so good at creating that ability, creating those plays that accentuate the skills of his quarterback. The fact that he's got a bad ankle, for the most part, isn't going to matter. The only thing that's going to matter is in that key moment where he's going to need to rely on it. How is he going to react? I guarantee you, Warmer, he's going to look fat. He's going to look $1 million.
I do generally think, though. I mean, that's Mahomes is obviously the big talking point, but I do genuinely think that the Bengals are the better team, and I also think the Bengals have the Chiefs' number. I mean, they've won the last 3 against them. There's absolutely no reason why they can't make it 4. They proved last year they can go into Arrowhead and win in the playoffs, in the cold, in a noisy environment. Joe Burrow, to me, is looking like he truly is that 1, 2, 3 elite quarterback. The Bengals receivers are, let's be honest, ridiculous. If you take away Chase, you've got Boyd, you've got Higgins. There's even Hayden Hurd is picking up.
Excuse me, you're forgetting Trenton Irwin. Come on,
Trenton Irwin. What was it? 2 catches for 6 yards or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. There's probably a good reason I forgot about him, to be honest. But generally the Bengals on offense are stacked. Mixon's a very good running back in the game against Buffalo, where he's just plowing ahead and getting 10 yards. He's not doing anything fancy. He's just plowing ahead. And I think the Chiefs are going to struggle to stop the Bengals. I really do. So it may well even be that the Chiefs' offense aren't even relevant in this game. I think the biggest matchups are going to be the Bengals' offense versus the Chiefs' defense. And I think, like you said, Dave, I think the Bengals' offense win it quite comfortably.
Yeah. And let's not forget 2 points. The offensive line of the Bengals really held up in that last game. They performed admirably well. And if I'm play designing for the Bengals, I'm putting together a 32 run package that takes 14 minutes and keep Mahomes and his dodgy ankle sitting in the cold on a bench, letting it seize up, try and take as much time off the clock as possible. So when he does come in, it's aching, hurts a bit. Okay, son, show us what you're made of. So everything is...
That ankle will be a nice, 22 degrees.
Oh, it's going to be like they're going to have wraps on it, like Lewis Hamilton has on his tyres in a pit stop. I guarantee 100%. But the thing is, I think this game, it feels like the Bengals to lose. It really does. And it's a shame because there'd be nothing greater than having that Bengals versus Chiefs rematch as the main course as the dessert to the main course would have earlier on in the night.
Currently, Ted Karras, the centre's out. It's questionable. Alex Kappa, the guard, and Jonah Williams are out, offensive tackle, and Trey Flowers, cornerback, is out for the Bengals. For the Chiefs, McCole Hardman is ruled out. So is Chloe Edwards-Helaire. Jodie Fortson and Mahomes obviously is questionable.
Did you say Clyde Edwards-Helaire's out? Oh my God.
On injured reserve, actually.
They're really going to struggle now. If only they had Jodrick McKinnon, who was running in like galore. Clyde Edwards-Helaire's such a non-factor. It's irrelevant.
Can I just say, I think up to this point, I've done really well being neutral, but why in the name of all things holy would I want the Chiefs to win this game? Come on.
100%, I agree. I hope they get stuffed. Do you know what?
I've done it.
I hope the Bengals run up the score. I hope they score 160. I really do.
You know what I mean? I've done the bit. No, I don't. Why would I want the Chiefs to? Look, Jim, you turn around and say you're going to pick the Chiefs because you hate the Bengals. So
absolutely,
let's just all go that way, shall we? Throw everything out. Doesn't matter. Yeah. We want the Bengals. You want the Chiefs.
Yeah. I might take all money out of this game though. I'm not sure I want to put anything onto this. I can't put money on the Bengals.
Either of these.
No.
Oh, I am. Odds are decent. So just to recap, I'm going 49ers. You two are going Eagles. Mm-hmm. Me and Punk, we're going
Bengals.
Cincinnati, and Jim, you're going.
Well, I want the Chiefs to win out of those two. Obviously, I don't want the Bengals in the Super Bowl again.
But who do you think
they had their chance? I think the advantage with a one-legged Mahomes is with the Bengals. I think if we had a two-legged Mahomes, I think the advantage is actually with the
All right,
Chiefs.
so let me put it this way. Say if Paddy Power or other betting companies are available, but use Paddy Power. If they give you a free £5 bet on that game only and it's money lines, who you putting in?
Well, I'll put it on the Chiefs because I'll get a good return on it. So,
Well, you weren't. They're 1-point favourites.
well, at the moment
So
they are. As we get
yeah,
closer
exactly.
to the game,
That's
it
what
might
I'm
get
saying.
worse.
The Chiefs are not starting that game as favourites.
No, I
It's
know,
not
100%. But
There's
right
no
now,
way.
that's what I'm saying. But that
I was
right
going to
now,
say,
you're not.
if you're going to bet on the Chiefs on the money line, you do it now because you're not getting anything better than you've got now.
Yeah.
All right, so let's pick some touchdown scores before we leave. Okay, we're talking about money line. Dave, you got
Well,
any
no.
touchdown
Let's look at
scores?
last week. Let's look at
Oh,
last week
okay,
because
okay, yeah.
you and I, Jim. You know, every week we come on here and we try and do something interesting, and we pick alternative players. And
You just
try our
pick
best.
ridiculous
last week,
players.
I feel that
don't
you
pick
and I were
alternative
victimised.
players.
We were victimised by an idiot who sat there
Busted.
on his high horse,
3 out
saying,
of 4.
"Oh, why
I
don't
picked
you
one
pick
more
Rivers?"
than you
Yes.
anyway.
But you went so obvious, and let's be honest,
It's
we got
15
2
to
out of
1.
3.
Well, you
Yes,
got 2
but
out
you
of 3
still
and you won
lost.
as much money as I did.
Lost.
So it doesn't make any
I
difference.
cashed out
does
on
it?
all of my bets at the weekend, so I did all right ish. So,
Well, you
I
did
lost.
back your
I
saves.
lost on one of them, and that was the one I sent you, the Trenton Irwin one. That was the one I lost on. But I mean,
oh yeah,
only bet what you're willing to lose. That's what I say.
exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did okay last week. So
2 out of 3, not too bad.
let's try it again, shall we? We got 3 touchdown scorers to pick. Do you want me to go first, Dave, or do you want to go first?
You can.
Okay, well, Jalen Hurts. He's running 8 touchdowns in the last 8 games.
Yeah.
So I think he's got a fairly good chance of running one in himself. He showed against the Giants that he's shaken off that injury. They tried, bless him, but he was effective in the air and on the ground. So yeah, Jalen Hurts is my first pick.
My first pick is Isaiah Pacheco. Now, one of the reasons for this is because he receives the ball as well, so in the pass game. And I think if Chad Henne comes in, then there's a good chance that sort of get out of jail free card option route will be used a lot. Because he'll be looking downfield going, nope, right, I'm just going to give it him. So I think, and Pacheco's been the main running back this season so far for the Chiefs. And as you've said, Clyde Edwards-Hilaire's out, so that power horse is gone. So Pacheco will come in. I think he'll be, even if Mahomes is playing and Mahomes is not very well, bless him, he'll be the get out of jail free card and will have a lot of the ball, both handed off as a running back and as a swing wide receiver as well.
Hey, I'm going to pick a running back as well now, Punk, for my second pick. I'll go Joe Mixon. When they met in week 11, it was Samaje Perine who gashed the Chiefs for over 100 yards. They showed against the Bills last week that they're willing to get Mixon involved in the run game again. He had 105 yards and a touchdown. I think he's got a good chance of scoring again.
I also was going to pick Joe Mixon, but I will go Jamar Chase then for the Bengals. I don't need to say any more because he is Jamar Chase and he is phenomenal.
My last pick was AJ Brown for the Eagles.
Okay.
He might not have got a touchdown in the last 3 weeks, but he's still getting almost 10 targets a game, and he's too good to stay out of the scoring for too long, is my reasoning. They've obviously targeted people like Dallas Goedert a couple of times. Devonta Smith can burn the 49ers almost shoddy secondary. But I think
that's slanderous.
It is, but I think they've got the weakest. That's the weakest part of their defense. But
I
do believe that AJ Brown has got the cojones to cut across the middle and then get a medium to long range touchdown.
But AJ Brown, look at the Seahawks game against 49ers and what
DK.
I was going to say DK Metcalf did to Chadarius Ward.
Yeah,
I think there will be a lot of tape watching of that for AJ Brown this week.
Yeah. I think the class, you just can't stay out of the end zone for too long. He had 11 touchdowns this season. I think they might just target him against that 49ers defense. You go to your best players.
Agreed. Which is why I'm picking the next player I am. So I've purposely avoided the NFC game because it's going to be so tight. So I purposely went Chiefs Bengals in my first two picks.
Oh, I thought you'd done what you did the other week and gone for the Eagles defense or something.
No, not mixing it up. Not after I got taunted so much last week. I have PTSD from that. No, I've got this week. I think there's a good chance that, as I said, the 49ers are going to win it, but it's going to be difficult to throw the ball down the field. And I think, as you said, it is also going to be difficult to run it in, especially on a short field in the red zone. What's more likely to happen is for it to be a between 7 and 14 or 15 yard pass to George Kittle. And as we saw last week from Kittle's juggle pass, which he snuck in at the last minute and pulled away from the on-rushing defender who's ready to take his head off, he is one of the outstanding tight ends in this game, and can turn a not great pass into a phenomenal reception. So George Kittle's my third choice.
Interesting. So recap time then. Jim, you've gone Jalen Hurts, Joe Mixon, AJ Brown.
Yes.
Dave, you've gone Ivan Pacheco, Jamar Chase, and George Kittle.
Yeah.
I picked both of them.
Hey.
I don't disagree.
They're both perfectly good picks. I find no fault in any of them. I think your reasoning is solid. There's no reason not to back any of those. The only one I might question slightly is Pacheco, because he didn't really seem to be able to really get that drive in the red zone at the weekend.
I agree, but my reason for bringing him in is, as I've said, is because he is going to be the get out of jail free card all week long. All he would have done, he would have had no blocking. He'd have ran out 12 yards to the right or to the left and be standing there waving his arms in the air going, "If you need me, boy, I'm here." And he will be the safety blanket.
You never know. But yeah, I'd pick out either of them. It's absolutely fine. We'll go into this last round, these championship games, and say, yes, we're backing both of those.
Have you done your touchdown passes, one for each game in this one?
No, I haven't, but I would, there's no reason not to look at the ones you guys have picked. If you want to go with something different, maybe go, what do we got here? Maybe
Trent Owen, come on.
Maybe go Higgins, Goddard, and
Travis Kelce.
Maybe Goddard, Higgins, and Kelce, maybe. Kelce again, I'd be dubious just because I don't know what Mahomes' ankle's like. So
I want to see Devonta Smith burning at 60 yards past Travarius Ward.
Maybe Goddard, Higgins, and Smith. There you go, Goddard, Higgins, and Smith. Let's go that way.
Okay. There we go then, guys. That is the preview of the championship round of the NFL. 2 games, and then we've only got 1 game left.
Excuse me.
2 games left.
Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
Oh, count.
Flag football, Manning Bowl. Come on.
Flag football. What's that?
You watch it if you want to, but I'll be too busy doing other stuff. All right.
Well, what's the flag? What's the flag football? What's that all about?
We'll tell you later.
That's the Pro Bowl this year.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Oh, is the skill game? Is that actually?
Yeah, they're still doing the skill stuff.
They're still doing the skill stuff, but they're doing a flag football game.
How lovely! How competitive is that going to be?
We'll talk about it next week, Dave. Obviously, we've got loads of time to talk
about
it.
No, we won't. That's a lie, Jim. We won't. You're just trying to get rid of us.
Oh, keep up with us on Twitter at the Final Down NFL, at Punk_Radar, at DenverDave30. Go to thefinaldown.com to check out our stuff on there, and go to patreon.com/finaldown. And you can find us everywhere now: YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, all the good
You can
places.
tell he's hungry and wants his dinner. He's
so
rushing
hungry.
The ending.
We are ending this now. So until next week, I've been Jim. That's been Punk Radar. That's been Denver Dave. Thank you very much for listening.